Welcome to the Bad Mom Show, where we flip the script on shame, shed light on what's made you feel invisible, and take your story back. It is time to step into that bold, baddie mom you were created to be. Around here, BAD stands for blessed, already approved of, and divinely designed, because you are not a bad mom. You are a leader. You were chosen for your family on purpose. You are divinely designed and anointed as the heart of your home, and you can confidently own your mantle of leadership as a fiery woman to lead with boldness, not burnout. This is your space to reclaim the parts of your story that have felt like weaknesses and discover they were actually your superpowers all along. It is time to shine as a BAD mom. Are you with me? Let's go. Welcome back to the Bad Mom Show. How are you? I'm Teresa Todd, your host. I'm so glad you're here for this final episode of this sizzling summer series. Hot topic has been going on all month long, and I am really excited to talk about this with you today. Not because it's an exciting topic, but because it's an extremely important topic. If you have not been following along in the series, please go back to episode 1. This is episode 4 of the series. We're talking about sex and how to talk about it with your kids in a healthy way, how to come up with your message, your plan. And it all began a few weeks ago with episode 1, talking about your story, your experience, spending some time with that, separating it from what story you are going to plan out, what the messages that you want your family to embody, to own, to know, and to live with as your children grow up in your home and are launched into adulthood, and giving you language for all those things, for those topics, how to have the sex talk, the talk. And today we are wrapping up with the topic of pornography, because the reason that this whole series was even come to life is because of the world we live in today. It is a digital world. There are so many dangers out there for our children, but especially the pervasiveness of sexual content out there that can be shown to your children unbeknownst to you. Even with all the protections in your own home, they live outside of a bubble, and there are so many ways that they can be exposed to it. The statistics I'm going to share with you today are probably going to startle you, but this is a subject where, as a mother, as a leader, as a protector over my children, this is like a not on my watch. Oh, hell no, you are not doing this to my kids. I'm going to arm them with the truth. I'm going to arm them with tools so they know what to do if and when they are ever in that situation. I'm pretty sure this is when like the mama bear in us comes out, like the fierce lion. Oh yeah, don't you mess with my kids, because you're going to come and answer to me. That's where that boldness, yeah, that comes out. And to me, this is not just a problem in our physical world. This is very much, I believe, a spiritual attack, because as I talked about, I believe it was last week, we have to really guard our eyes and our ears. That's for us too, because what you consume influences your thoughts, and it influences your heart, how you feel. The Bible talks constantly about the power of our thoughts and the influence of it over our hearts, and the power of our hearts, and to guard your heart. Guard your heart above all else, because it is the source of all things. And the eyes and the ears are the gateway to the heart. And I believe that we have a very real enemy, and he doesn't care about your kids. In fact, he would like nothing more than to get in there real early and feed them some really perverted ideas about sex, about their sexuality, create confusion, distortion, deception. And we're not going to stand for that, okay? So this is battle time, my friends. This is time for you to stand in the gap physically and spiritually and say, no, hell no, not on my watch, okay? So yeah, we're going there. Hope you're ready. If you just hopped in, hey, welcome. But listen, We're called bad for a reason, okay? Yes, you are blessed. You are already approved of. You are divinely designed, and this is your time to know like there is no backing down. This is really important stuff. And I know we all know it as a topic. We all know that it's a problem that's out there, but I think there is this passivity like that wouldn't happen to my kid or almost like a reactiveness, like what to do afterward. No, this whole series is about being proactive. This is about building your children a solid foundation, not just understanding sex and sexuality, but truly understanding how they were created. How they were created is sacred, it's unique and wonderful. It is a fearful creation that they carry the image of God in them and that they steward gifts in them that need to be protected. And especially in this digital world, there are way too many ways that they can be derailed if they don't have a solid foundation. And that starts with us. So I'm really excited that you're here. I'm grateful you're here. I know you are a leader, a warrior, and that you don't want any of this to affect your kids. So we're going to be educating ourselves today and we're going to educate our children so that they know what to do if and when, unfortunately, when is more likely the word to use there. They are exposed to pictures or videos or friends who are trying to um, expose them to things that they were never meant to see or experience. Okay. I want your children, I want my children to be courageous enough to be leaders in situations like this, to be protectors of their bodies and their minds and their hearts, especially if you're not available, you're not in the room, you're not there. They need to know what to do. So, and it might seem like I'm coming down hard, but this is super important stuff. So, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for caring enough to educate yourself and to come up with a plan with your family. What to do when your child sees something they can't unsee. That's what we're talking about today. I think as parents, we think about how am I going to talk about sex? I'm going to have the puberty talk, the sex talk, but are we prepared to talk about pornography with our children? It's uncomfortable. Yeah, I know. But these statistics are more uncomfortable. Are you ready? Yes. Buckle up for this. So, the average age of first pornographic exposure is between 11 and 13 years old, with many children having reported experience it as early as 8 years old. 8 years old. That's horrifying. Often the exposure is unintentional, but it can be um, as common, it can be as likely that it's intentional or unintentional. And unintentionally, it can be through peers sharing things that they've seen, pop-up ads, or social media content, as we know. And it says another statistic says that an estimated 50 to 70% of adolescents are exposed to pornography before the age of 18. So this is a very real danger for all of our children. And we really need to be prepared because it's not an if, it's more likely a when. And they really need to have tools and be prepared. They need to understand what it is and what to do. Here are some other things from the Birds and Bees program that they shared from their research that are really just startling things. Did you know that every second, 28,258 people view porn online? The largest group of internet porn consumers are children between the ages of 12 and 17. I just shared that 11 is about the average age that someone first sees pornography. 9 out of 10 boys are exposed to it between the ages of 8 and 18. 6 out of 10 girls are exposed to porn between the ages of 8 and 18. Between the ages of 13 and 16, 18% of boys have sexted nude or semi-nude photos of themselves, and 22% of girls between ages of 13 and 16. Okay, this is like making my stomach turn. Children are as likely to see pornography online by accident as they are to actively search for it. 83% of boys have seen group sex online. That's terrifying. 69% of boys have seen same-sex intercourse online. 57% of girls have seen group sex online, and 55% of girls have seen same-sex intercourse online. Uh, Pornography is the top sixth ranked issue in the list of health concerns for children in the US. So, those are some really startling statistics. And when I hear those things, I immediately want to know what to do. And I think you do too. The side effects of pornography are really important to understand too. It is a very emotionally and psychologically damaging experience for children. Again, they're too young to be seeing these sexual acts, but it's also now the perversion of sex that is out there is so disturbing that it really ex it shows them things that even an adult would never want to see. And it can be really damaging to their minds. It's associated with many psychological, sociological, and physical health outcomes, including increased rates of depression, anxiety, violent behavior, younger age of sexual debut, like, having sex, sexual promiscuity, obviously increased risk of teen pregnancy, child sex abuse, abusing other children, sex trafficking, and developing a very distorted view of relationships between men and women. So it is very dangerous. It is not just seeing a picture. Another part of this that is really was really interesting and I think really significant to understand as a parent is these damages obviously can happen if they're exposed accidentally, but the harm can come from the child feeling deeply ashamed of what they've seen, but the confusion of also perhaps feeling physically aroused by it because it the intention of these shocking images is, and you're looking at something that you shouldn't be looking at, is it creates like an adrenaline experience in the body, and there can be some erotic, arousal happen in the body that they are then confused by because this is something they know they shouldn't be looking at. It can be a really distorted version of sex too that they know is confusing. But again, guarding eyes and ears because once they've seen it, it's harder to look away. The longer they stay on it, the more distorted and disturbing it becomes, and the more they ruminate on it and think on it over and over again. And then it creates this shame cycle, but also this addictive cycle of like wanting to do it again. So that's really this insidious um, nature of the porn industry is like, this isn't even like the traditional porn industry was bad enough. This is like so much worse now. And the intentional targeting of our children is such a just a disturbing, distressing fact that it really just reinforces how much we need to be on the front lines for our kids about this stuff and to understand that it is very damaging to them and to always be their front line. The whole point of this series has been to build that trust and the connection because you want your kids to be full of truth, but you want them to know if and when something happens or they're exposed to something or someone tries to show them or do something to them, they get out of that situation, they know what to do, and they come run into you and immediately tell you and know that no matter what, they can always tell you and they will never, ever be in trouble. It's that fear of getting in trouble that will create the secrecy that allows the shame cycle. And then that confused, weird, like, but it was kind of pleasurable. So I kind of want to do it again. And then it's the secrecy and it's the shame and it develops this awful cycle. And that's when you hear about kids getting addicted to porn at a very young age. And the secrecy also puts them in even more danger because it exposes them to predators who would love nothing more than to get into those little chats or whatever rooms and and manipulate your children even more. So this is highly dangerous and a very, very important topic. And I do believe it is a complete wicked, evil attack on your children's innocence, on their hearts, on their identities. And it's our job to stop it. So that's my take on that. So always, always make sure if your children are ever exposed, the importance is letting them know ahead of time. If you ever see anything, a video, a picture that confuses you or that scares you, or you know, again, teaching them to trust their instincts that is bad, it makes you feel uncomfortable, come and tell me, show it to me. You will never be in trouble for telling me. I think for parents, it's like, what do I do? Like a fear that you'll panic in this situation. So let's come up with some tools for you, and then we'll talk about some tools for your kids. So if your child tells you that they've seen something shocking, the most important thing to do is not react out of fear or punishment, um, or, where did you see that? Just try your best to stay calm and pause. Don't react emotionally, even if you're shocked inside. Just try to stay calm. The word that we're going to go use is pause. Love a good acronym. Okay, so you're going to pause, literally. And then A is for affirm. Thank you for telling me. I'm so glad you came to me and told me and that you showed me or that you looked away and you came to me right away. Thank you so much. You did the right thing. Then understand. Help me understand. Ask them what happened. How did this picture come about? Well, that it popped up when I was on this website or so and so showed me. Okay, what did you see? And ask and have them name it because keeping it inside, keeping it in internal is going to allow it to fester. They have to talk about it, get it out. Then S stands for sharing the truth. And that's age appropriate truth. Now, again, if you've been dripping the truth on them, they should already know this is not appropriate for me to be looking at. This act is something that I'm not is supposed to be done in privacy, in the safe confines, boundaries of marriage or whatever your family statement is. Um, and that it's something that's to be private and protected and not to be looked at by other people. That's why even in movies and stuff, if they show sex scenes or big makeout scenes, we turn the channel or I'm like, or turn it off or, my kids know they're like, I'm like, that's not for us to be watching. That's not for us to be looking at. I don't even know if they're married, things like that. Even in TV, just regular TV, you have to be aware of. And then the last letter E is encourage. Encourage your children. I'm so glad you came to me. You can always come and tell me. You will never be in trouble. Thank you again for coming and telling me. So that's for you if and when you're ever faced with a situation like that. But the key is beforehand to really start having the conversations before you're in a situation like this so your kids know what to do. There are some amazing resources out there these days. One of them is this book that I have in my hands here. If you're not watching the video, it's called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. I love this book. There's a junior version for younger kids. This one, I'm not sure what age it's supposed to be for, but the young one is for like toddlers. So even with my kids, I started with that book, but this one is great too. And it actually kind of for your adolescent kids is great because it kind of like has a whole scenario to help them understand like you have a thinking brain and you have a feeling brain, and to understand that if they were to see something, your thinking brain knows I shouldn't look at that, but your feeling brain might feel differently, and understanding how the different parts of their brain work together. Um, and then it talks about the attraction center and says because pornography fires up one of the most powerful parts of the feeling brain called the attraction center. So it helps them understand like, oh, so if they ever are in a situation, um, why that arousal might happen. how pornography tricks the brain into an addiction. So, literally on kid terms, it's helping them understand what we just talked about. And then what your thinking brain can do to intervene and stop that arousal brain from taking over. And that I love. They have these steps in here that I'm going to talk about. But so starting the conversation early is really important. Explaining to kids, like, hey, most of the time, even what the word means, and it's these inappropriate photos or videos of people having sexual acts. Like we're not supposed to look at those things. That's supposed to be in the privacy of their own bedroom, in the confines and the protection of their marriage. A lot of times these people aren't married, don't know each other. A lot of times these are in abusive situations. Um, and explaining it can happen on your tablet, it can pop up. It can happen on someone's phone. That's why, having rules about like, do your kids know what are the guidelines for them when they're outside of your home in other people's homes with tablets and iPhones? With my kids, like when we go visit our family, they have cousins that are teenagers and in their 20s. My children know they are not allowed to sit on the couch next to their cousins and look over their cousin's shoulder on their phones because their cousins could be on Snapchat, they could be on social media, they could be looking at things that are very inappropriate for my children. And it's nothing against them, but it's just that's a reality. I don't want them looking at those things, and they know they're not allowed to do that. But your kids should know what are the parameters when I go over to someone else's house. And if you need to have that conversation with friends, parents, do it. Set healthy boundaries. If you need to bring in like grandparents, who aunts, uncles, whoever's helping watch the kids, make sure they are on the same page as you are about screens. Um, Okay, so having the talk early and, obviously putting settings, privacy settings is really important, but no system is perfect and letting your kids know that too. That the longer time that they spend online, especially in private places like bedrooms or bathrooms, there's more great risk of them being exposed to pornography or watching it and in secrecy. And so just setting healthy boundaries around that. Like even with our kids, they're not allowed to play in people's bedrooms. And I always say that if they go to someone's house, I don't want you playing in their bedroom. And especially if you're in a room, they try to shut the door. Absolutely not. No shut doors. Shut doors mean secrecy, and there's no secrets in our friendships. At our house or at anybody else's house, you are not to be behind closed doors with anybody. Things like that are really important to set the boundary. And then just being honest with your kids, like I will do my best to protect you, but nothing that I do is 100% foolproof. So I trust you that if there's ever anything that you're not sure about, come to me. You won't be in trouble. You will not be in trouble. Always reiterate that. Always come to me. I promise you, you will never be in trouble. And then having a plan together. Again, this is just these tools are so important in building your kids' foundation, their confidence, trusting themselves to make good decisions, and that you're in their corner. So, who can they talk to if they're in a situation like that and they feel unsafe? Obviously, they can come to you, but what if you're not there? Maybe you have a code word, like they want to get out of a friend's house or something. If they're in a bad situation, have a code word. Um, or what steps they can take in the moment. It's really important that if they see something that they know the most important thing they can do is shut their eyes and look away. The less time that their eyes are on it, the better. Walking away, it might be the hardest thing to do. They might get laughed at. They might get picked on for doing that. They might get called names. Who cares? You don't answer to those people. That is a spirit of intimidation behind the friend who's saying it. Okay. Walk away, get out of the room, get to a trusted adult and tell what you saw. That's super, super important. So it's really simple. No, I don't want to see it. No, get out of the room, go, and then tell. Those were the three things we talked about last time, I believe. So this just helps them feel more prepared and you have a plan in place. And it reminds them that they're not alone in figuring this out. And the key in all this is to just remain calm. If they come to you, know that it can leave them feeling very confused, anxious, and ashamed, unsure of what to do with how they feel physically, mentally, emotionally. It just can create a lot of mental anguish. Um, so just do your best to stay calm, take a breath, thank them, reaffirm for them that they did the right thing, ask them the questions of what they saw, how it happened, um, and all those tools that we just went through, helping you understand, sharing the truth with them, which they may already know, and then just encouraging them that they did the right thing and that you're always on their side. Super, super important. Um, in this book, Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, I love their acronym is, if I ever come across pornography, here's what I can do. And can do stands for the steps that they can take as soon as they see a bad picture or video. C stands for close my eyes. And the importance of closing your eyes is because seconds literally count when they have been exposed to a bad picture. And the longer they look at it, the stronger the memory becomes. Um, so they can turn away, they can turn it off, whatever they have to do. And then, hey, friend, thank you so much for being here and following the Bad Mom Show. I would love to hear from you, so let's connect. After the show, send me a DM and let me know what's hitting home for you. What do you struggle with the most as a mom? And what topics would you like to hear more about? This show is all about connection in the community because that is how we truly grow. So reach out to me at the Teresa Todd on Instagram, Facebook, or even TikTok, and I cannot wait to hear from you. A stands for always tell a trusted adult, which we've kind of gone over already. If it's too hard to talk, they can leave you a note because maybe they feel embarrassed. Um, and then, when there's a safe time and place to talk together, make sure that you talk about it. They talk about having a code word. So if they're at a friend's house, maybe the code word is like, my tummy hurts, I want to come home. You don't ask questions, you just immediately go. The N in can stands for name it when I see it. And the importance there is by saying it, it helps the thinking brain come online instead of the arousal brain, which will like stay in that state of like ruminating on the image and like how it makes you feel. So saying it, be like, that's pornography. It like kind of puts the rational brain back in the front seat and calling it out for what it is. So that again, we want to keep them keep the brain out of that ruminating state. And or it's thank you, mom, I saw porn today. It helps their brain call it out and reject it. And then the D in can do is to distract yourself. So if they've seen something, more than likely it's probably going to pop back in their head. Give them tools to know what to do so that they don't continue ruminating it on it. The Bible talks about the power of our thoughts so many times. And I share it a lot with us as moms and parenting, but it is as important for your children to understand as a tool too, that what they think on is is going to influence how they feel, what they see, and how they act. So it says to think on good things, right? Or we have to renew our minds. We have to take every thought captive and make it bow to the feet of Jesus. And we test it. Does this stand up to truth? And if it doesn't, then we reject it. You don't have to entertain every thought that comes into your mind. So when these thoughts try to pop back up, giving them the tools like, oh, there that is again, and teaching them to distract their mind by doing things that will take their thinking brain more, train their thinking brain to focus on something else. So teaching them to pay attention to maybe giving them an image or a word or an actual like a physical act to do, like jumping jacks or, counting how many times I can, I don't know, do a push up or, whatever. It's just something that expels that energy and it changes their thought pattern. It's like a rewiring of the brain pattern. And then the O in can do stands for order my thinking brain to be the boss. So that is teaching them that they can decide to never ever go looking for more pornography, even after they've seen something. And they can tell themselves, they're literally, you can tell your brain, like, thanks, feeling brain. I see you. I know you're curious, but I'm going to choose to use my thinking brain and stay free from pornography because I know it's harmful to me. And it really teaches them the power they have to have awareness of their thoughts, to take them captive, as the Bible says, and that they have the authority and the power to rewire those thoughts. And it might take some work, but they can do it. And it's so much better than them living in fear and shame and ruminating and feeling like a bad person and then feeling drawn to go look at it again. So I know that was kind of a lot, but it's so important. Please take this to heart. Go get this book, Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, the junior and the adult or the adolescent version. Another great resource is Protect Young Eyes. They have a website full of resources. They've got great stuff on social media. I know there's another one. There's tons of stuff out there, but arm yourself. Be prepared. Get together with the moms in your friend groups and be like, hey, like let's form an army. Like, how can we protect each other and our kids and make sure that we're all safeguarding our devices, our homes, and our children so that when they go to other people's houses, you can feel safe that like we're all on the same team about this. I don't think anybody wants their kids exposed to porn. You might be more proactive about it than your friend. Encourage them to be proactive too. Share these statistics. It's startling. And no, the internet does not care about your child. I mean, this is an industry, unfortunately. It's disgusting, but it is, and a lucrative one at that. And I believe it is spiritual. And for us as mothers, as leaders, as authorities in our homes, you stand in the gap for your kids and you say, hell no, not on my watch. This is not allowed in our home. This is not influencing our children. And you do everything in your power to equip them, safeguard them, but teach them what to do so they have a plan and they have tools so they know what to do and they understand the dangers of it. All right. That is what I have for you. Your homework challenge for this week is to have a talk with your kids. Have the talk about pornography. Ask them if they know what the word means, if they've ever heard it before. If they have heard it, where have they heard it? Um, Maybe get the book and say, hey, I want to read this with you because you know how we talk about tablets and like what's on screens can be dangerous for you? This is why. And walk through the book with them, especially the junior version. It's very, easy language. And it just talks about like the privacy of your body and why, like, even when you go to the beach, you cover up those areas because they're private. And there are pictures out there where they're exposed and we're not supposed to look at those things. So use the tools. Again, it's not about doing it perfectly, but it is about being proactive, showing up for your kids, teaching them, arming them, equipping them, and being the warrior that you are, because I know you are. So have the conversations, ask them if they know, and then talk about a strategy. If you ever do see something, what should you do? And always reminding them that no matter what, they are not in trouble. You love them. You are there for them. They can always come to you with anything they see and that you will help them. Okay. All right, my friends. This has been a fun series. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know. I love your feedback. How was this for you? And if you have any other hot topics, share them. I would love to do another series. And what interests you is important to me. Probably interests me too. And the more things that you share that are of interest to you, I know that there are thousands and thousands of other women out there that have the same questions, concerns. So please let me know what's on your heart and maybe we can have another fun series coming up in the fall. But that is the last episode for you in this hot summer series. Please go back, rewatch, re-listen to any of the episodes and share them with your friends. This is such an important series. I know these are questions and topics that we all consider, and it's not something to wait on. This is really important stuff. So be prepared, Talk to your spouse, talk to your family, talk to your kids, have all those curious conversations, and yeah, and protect them from pornography. Super important. And I know that you care so much about their hearts and raising them up safely. And this is a really important area that we, unfortunately, in this digital world, have to be aware of. So I'm glad you're here. I love you all. Let me know what stood out for you. Let me know how those conversations go. As always, be subscribed to the Bad Mom Show. Share this series with your friends, and I will see you next week.